Have you ever asked yourself this question? Are carbs making us fat? Are carbohydrates the reason for the obesity epidemic, the reason we're all overweight? And should you cut carbs? If so, how much? If not, why not? All that and more you're going to find out in this video and forever change your way of looking at carbohydrates. I guarantee you that. But before we go there, click the subscribe button below because on this channel, 7-Figure Body channel, you're going to learn exactly how to build a strong, healthy, high-performing, sexy physique as a successful entrepreneur without all the BS that this whole industry is built on, without starvation, cardio, pills, steroids, or cutting out carbs. So if that sounds good, if you are a successful entrepreneur who is really wanting to build an awesome physique that goes along with your business success, this is the channel for you. So click that subscribe button right now. What is up, everyone? This is Coach Amir from 7figurebody.com, and today we're going to talk about one of my most favorite topics of all, which is carbs. Carbohydrates, are they making us fat? If so, how and why? If not, why not? Okay? So guys, first, before we go into it, remember, there are 3 main macronutrients that everybody knows: protein, fats, carbs. Okay, we know that, right? There is, by the way, a 4th macronutrient called alcohol, which nobody thinks about because it's not really food. Like, I'm hungry, let me have some alcohol, right? But it is the 4th macronutrient. It's actually very caloric. It's 7 calories per gram. We know that protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. Fats are 9 calories per gram. Okay, we know that. Got it. All right. But here's the way to look at carbohydrates. Guys, please remember, protein and fats are essential for life. If you don't have any protein and if you don't have any fats for long enough, you will die. It's game over, okay? Even between them, there's a huge difference. Protein is the most essential, the most important one. If you were to look at some extreme hypothetical scenario where you're not having any protein or any fats or any carbs, you will die the soonest by not having enough protein or not having any protein. Why? Because protein does not really have a storage in the human body. Where is the storage of protein in the human body? There isn't one. It's only muscle. So when you don't have enough protein, your body's actually having to break down muscle to fulfill its normal needs of survival. And therefore, that means you're not going to be building new muscle. You're probably going to be losing your own muscle. So definitely not a good idea. So if you were to not have any of protein, fats, or carbs, like not just one of them, protein would be the worst to not have any of. Okay, it's the most important one. Actually, the word protein comes from the Greek word proteus, which means the most important, the primary one. It is by far the most important one for survival. And it just so happens that nobody eats enough protein. Go figure. But protein and fats, now second, like life essential macronutrient is fats. You need some fats, but way less than we think. It's actually only the actual omega-3s, the fish oil, the pills. That's the type of fat that we can't produce on our own. We have to get it from external source, from the food or supplement, right? So fats and protein are essential for life. You have to have it. Carbohydrates are not essential for life, meaning for the rest of your life, from today until the rest of your life, if you didn't have a gram of carb ever again, you would not die. You would survive. Now, of course, some idiots have taken this as great. You see, you don't need them for life. Therefore, let's have carnivore diet. You should have no carbs. Okay, you would not die, but you certainly will not thrive on a no carb diet. Okay. Now, of course, please remember, zealots out there like, I was allergic to one, or sensitive, not even allergic, sensitive to one type of vegetable. Therefore, I should have no vegetables whatsoever ever again, right? I was maybe sensitive to one type of fruit, therefore I should have no fruit ever. This is how zealots think. It's all black or white, just simplified for the dummies, sure. But for a thinking entrepreneur, please remember, if you are sensitive or allergic to any type of food, whether it be fatty, carby, whatever it is, okay, don't eat that food. You know that joke when the guy's in pain, he goes to the doctor and says, hey doc, I do this movement and it hurts my shoulder. And the doc is like, okay, don't do that movement. All right. Simple, very simple, but too complex to understand for many. If you are, let's say, lactose intolerant, you can't have any dairy products. Okay. Well, I would question that you can't have any. You can probably have certain types of hard cheeses that maybe not are not, troublesome at all for you. So that doesn't mean you should like cut out all you're like, okay, I'm allergic to milk, or I can't have milk, therefore I'm not going to have any animal products at all because of that. It's like, okay, you're going to cut out eggs, fish, meat, all of that because you can't have milk? Makes no sense to me, right? Anyways, please remember, going back to carbs. Carbs are an energy source, meaning we deserve carbs. There's a rule that I got from a awesome strength coach who passed away a couple of years ago, Charles Poliquin. Yeah, he was a really, really great coach. Later on, he went on the deep end and sold out by selling supplements and, other crap like that. But he was an amazing coach, very smart guy. And I got from him this saying that probably like 20 years ago that I really think is very good and useful. It says, you have to deserve your carbs because they're simply an energy source. You don't need them to survive. And that means, okay, we got to deserve them. What does that mean? Well, there are two levels, right? Short term, we deserve carbs with exercise. More active and more active you are, more exercise you do, more carbs you can have. Longer term, we deserve by doing two things. One, by being lean, because generally speaking, the more overweight you are, the less carb sensitivity, basically the worse your carb sensitivity is, meaning your body is less able to handle carbs the more overweight you are, and vice versa. Much better able to handle carbs the leaner you are. Your carb sensitivity improves as you lose body fat and gets worse as you gain body fat over time. Okay? That's number one thing to do longer term, get lean. But of course, even a bit longer, because getting lean is a function of a few months. Like I can take on almost anybody and in 3 to 6 months completely transform them. Unless somebody's like morbidly obese, then it's probably going to take a year or two. But generally speaking, for most people, you are 3 to 6 months away from having an awesome looking, high performing, like six-pack abs, six-pack lean body. So, but that's what I mean, short term, we deserve carbs by doing exercise and more steps, okay? Longer term, in a couple of months, by getting lean, and then even longer, probably year 2, 3, depending on where you are on the spectrum of building muscle, by building more muscle, because muscle is the richest tissue in glucose receptors. Therefore, more muscle you have, better able your body will be to handle carbs. Okay, so, long story short to say, get lean, build more muscle, and be more active and do more steps, and you will absolutely be able to have a huge amount of carbs with no issues. And of course, the question that everybody probably wants is, are carbs getting us fat? The answer is no, they are not. There is no one singular, food or macronutrient or food group that is making us overweight. It's overeating. If you overeat any food in the world, you will gain weight. It's not just carbs. Now, truth be told, a lot of the highly processed carby foods are very easy to overeat. They're hyper-palatable foods, sure. Yes, but also, what's also even easier to overeat and even a bigger problem is fats. Because think about it. If you take a nut butter, like cashew butter, peanut butter, and have I'm going to have 1 teaspoon, and you end up having 3 or 4, you just have 800 to 1,000 calories of a dessert or snack. Because fats are very caloric, they have more than double calories than carbs do, and therefore they're very, very, very easy to overeat in a scenario where eating a hyper-palatable fatty food. Right, so that's why nuts and nut butters, I'm not a fan. When my clients are on a diet, they're actually dieting down and leaning down. I'm not a fan, especially of things like nut butters at all. Like I much rather prefer they have, some, like for their fats, actually get them from either eggs or fattier foods, like fattier protein sources, or, having some olive oil, things like that. But I do not like nut and nut butter, certainly. And also all the processed foods are, as you know, they're packed in calories. Like everybody knows that, hey, when you have, burger and fries from McDonald's, it's a ton of calories. Certainly it is. Depending on portions, it can be from 1,000 to 2,000 calories per meal. And of course, do you think it's just carb heavy and that's it? No, that meal is a ton of fats too. That's why it's a calorie bomb. It's not 2,000 calories because it has a ton of carbs only. It has a lot of carbs, but it also has a ton of fats. And unfortunately, processed fats that are the worst for you. Okay, so guys, please remember, carbs are not making you fat in isolation. Fats are not making you fat in isolation. No food or food item, food group, or particular meal or, you know, like any processed dessert or anything else. None of that in isolation is making you overweight. It's overeating, being over your maintenance calories, in a surplus of calories. That's what makes you fat. If you take the healthiest foods in the world, like if you figure out 3 things that you think are the healthiest foods in the world, try to overeat those and, you know, go in a surplus of calories, you will still gain weight. Vice versa. Take the worst, least healthy, horrible food that you can imagine, eat only those, but be in a calorie deficit, you will still lose weight. Of course, for health, it's not the healthiest thing to eat junk. I'm not suggesting you do that, but it is exactly how it would work. If you're in a calorie deficit, eating whatever, you will lose weight. If you're in a calorie surplus, eating whatever, you will gain weight. So please remember, carbs are not to blame. You should not avoid carbs. Certainly, given the rule that, you know, you got to deserve your carbs, and you do that by activity, you know, either being more active with steps or exercising or getting lean or building more muscle. Now let's look at the opposite of that. Sedentary, obese, overweight individual, right? Doesn't do any steps, doesn't exercise, you know, so his activity is very low. He's very overweight. How many carbs should that person have? Very little. Most of their carbs should come only from fruits and vegetables, nothing else. Why? Because they quote unquote didn't deserve it. Right? I think this deserving of carbs is a very, very good concept, because it is just like it's a fuel source, right? It's an energy source. It doesn't have any life essential functions. So because of that, and one last thing, guys, I'm going to leave you with fruit. A lot of people are villainizing fruit. Oh, it's terrible because it has carbs. It has very small amount of carbs relative to the volume of food that you're eating. Watermelon, you know, pretty much, you know, apples, pretty much most fruit are absolutely phenomenal weight loss foods. Why? Even though they do have a little bit of sugar and a little bit of calories, they actually have very food volume, and they keep you full for many, many, many hours. And much better to use them as dessert versus 400 calorie cookie, right? That actually is a calorie bomb because it has a lot of fats, processed fats, a lot of carbs, and no protein. So very low satiating food, very high in calories, which is exactly opposite of what you want to have if you're trying to lose weight. We want to have very satiating, low in calorie foods. In that group, lean protein and vegetables are king, and also the second or third best is fruit. So please remember, absolutely no need to avoid or villainize or be afraid of carbs. You certainly can have them, but remember, more exercise, more steps, getting leaner, and building more muscle. These 4 things are what allows you to have a ton of carbs. Enjoy all the foods that you want while getting to like 6-pack lean and keeping that shape for the rest of your life. Guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please click the subscribe button below and like and share it. If you like this video, you're gonna love what I got for you absolutely free. If you click the link in the description below, there is, if you put your name and email, tell us where to send it, we're gonna give you a completely free A to Z process of how I transformed 1,200 clients so far in the last 14 years and got to, you know, Dan Kennedy of fitness, nickname, etc. And also I'm going to give you a completely free digital version of my book right here. This book sells for $25 on Amazon. A lot of people have bought this book, read it, applied it, and lost a ton of weight just by the stuff that's in this book. You get it for free when you click on that link and give us your email so we know where to send it. You're going to get a free version of the book. Anyways, guys, hope you liked this video. Hope you got some value out of it, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.